Happy heckin' Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to my one day late episode of Gym Therapy. I have made it through my 4th of July work BS. I did do an oopsie and I ran before the gym and I am a little bit sweaty, a little bit tired. So I don't know what this lift is going to be like. I'm yawning. However, it is what it is. You can't make excuses, right? If there's something wrong in your life, if you're not feeling it, I think this is a good microcosm to the whole. Even when you're not feeling like it, even when you're tired, even when maybe life gets in the way, still making time for things that are important, right? And the gym is kind of important to me. Filming this YouTube video is important to me because this is multiplicative levels of difficulty, right? Going to the gym when you're tired, going to the gym when you're eepy, going to the gym when you're busy, that's one thing. But then it's like, okay, well, I'm doing YouTube. So now not only do I have to go to the gym, well, I also have to film this video and I have to be interesting and I have to talk about stuff, right? But I could have made excuses and I could have not filmed this first episode after. I'm like thinking about last week now and I'm like, well, I didn't film a third video last week. But there's more reasons to I didn't film last week than just like I was lazy, right? Like I had a busy work week, but then I also was like, maybe I should only do 2 videos a week because I want the videos to breathe. And I think 3 maybe at this point of like YouTube growth might be a little bit too much. So this might be something I do for the nearest future, maybe just 2 videos, because while I do want to do like chest and try or chest and shoulder and then a back and bi or like an arm and then a leg, like cover like all the body groups like 3 times a week, I think my channel is more about the information than it is the gym. It's just really tough. I just don't want to post too much, right? And like ruin momentum, right? Because when YouTube is promoting, I don't know if you guys know this, if you've done any research, but allegedly, apparently, maybe, like when you post a new video, it does take some of the marketing away from the previous one as to how like the algorithm pushes stuff. And I don't want to like suffocate videos before they have a chance to flourish, especially because we're in this like kind of period of growth. I mean, you're always in a period of growth, but once you're like a big like YouTuber, like your videos are going to get views no matter what. Right now I am definitely a little bit dependent on the machine to be helping me. So as soon as I say I'm going to only do 2, I might still keep doing 3, but I am trying to be more mindful about how I'm posting, because I do want to maximize growth, right? Anytime I do anything, when I go to the gym, when I go to work, I'm always trying to maximize the things that I'm doing. That's where we're at. All right, so next we're gonna hit the old reliable machine preacher curl and continue this little adventure. It's also really late. I'm starving. I made a terrible error. A lecturer at Stanford followed a group of boys from pre-K through first grade when they first arrived at school. The boys meaningfully connected with each other, both physically and emotionally, and even engaged in displays of tenderness and affection. The boys would hug each other and tussle each other's hair. But about halfway through that pre-K year, the dynamics of their friendship dramatically shifted. The boys became more emotionally guarded and began to shield the qualities that had marked their full presence and genuine engagement in relationships. They began to look more like stereotypical boys, or how boys are often said to be. Given that the boys started the year with such a rich capacity for connection, illustrating that boys do seek and enjoy emotional intimacy, Chu affirmed that this change was a reflection of the cultural messages the boys absorbed from others. Judy Y. Chu is who did this study. She says, "The cardinal discovery of my research is that what is often perceived and described as natural to boys is in fact not a manifestation of their nature, but an adaptation to cultures that require boys to be emotionally stoic, aggressive, and competitive if they are to be perceived and accepted as real boys." In other words, in striving for more connection and acceptance by their peers, boys sacrifice the very thing that they're seeking. Naomi Wei, an applied psychologist at NYU, had been studying boys and their friendships since 1987. She has observed that boys undergo another dramatic shift in relationships in adolescence. As she wrote in a 2013 paper, "Late adolescence for the boys in my studies is a time of disconnection from the relationships that they hold so close to their hearts. Rather than simply being a period of progress, adolescence for these boys is also a period of profound loss." When I spoke to Dr. Wei earlier this week, she told me that boys had been teaching her over and over and over again that they have a rich capacity and need for connection throughout their lives. Quote, "They come into the world wanting what every other human wants and have the same capacities as every other human. But then during the teen years, they start to disconnect from what they know about themselves and disconnect from each other." Kind of echoing what I talked about in my experience and how we kind of bully each other and how we're expected to act from our parents, and perhaps we bully each other because of our parents and because of teachers and because of society and what we see in movies and how we read about boys in books. And I mean, I've seen it, right? I think we've all seen it, right? You see like a little boy just like being super affectionate and like giving someone a kiss and just wanting a hug and being very intimate with their emotions, being vulnerable and being like in touch. And then at some point we lose that, right? Girls stay, for lack of a better descriptor, a little bit lovey-dovey with their friends, right? Being emotionally friendly all the time to everybody. They're, I feel like, in some ways quicker to gain more emotional relationships, while, as the studies are showing, boys become more guarded. Because society has taught us if we are to be liked, if we are to be loved, if we are to be cherished, then we need to be this idealized form of a man. The stoic, dark, mysterious, tough, unemotional lad. And even people who say they want the opposite, I've seen in a lot of cases. One of my friends, she's almost a book talker. She's a romantasy lady, and she talks about how it's okay to be emotionally vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. But when she talks about occasionally the simping that she does over the books that she reads, she romanticizes the men. She idealizes the men a bit. Like, this is a man that, for lack of a better way to put this, turns her on, that she is attracted to. And I think that's problematic, because even the most progressive ladies have this maybe cultural ingrained point of view that that kind of man is the kind of man you want. If that made any amount of sense. I'm going to do this. Again, in this article, echoing my little spiel from earlier, there are social costs to breaking the rules. Boys in my son's rather progressive public school have been called homophobic slurs simply for having close male friends. A 2017 Equimundo report found that more men believe that men should suppress their emotions, never ask for help, and act strong even when they feel scared. and more likely they are to experience symptoms of depression and anxiety, and to have suicidal thoughts, and to engage in bullying and sexual harassment. It's also worth noting that their loneliness often becomes an added burden for girls and women. Many men only open up to their girlfriends and wives, which means that women essentially become their partner's therapists. At first, I believed that my son was succumbing to these cultural pressures despite my best efforts to counteract them, but when I called up developmental psychologist Michael Reichert, the founding director of the for the Study of Boys and Girls' Lives at the University of Pennsylvania and the author of the book How to Raise a Boy, he pointed out that I might unwittingly be part of the problem. He told me about the book The Mama's Boy Myth by Kate Stone Lombardi. For the book, Lombardi interviewed hundreds of mothers about their relationship with their son, uncovering that many moms felt uncomfortable if their sons were emotionally expressive and craved a lot of connection, and that these moms often sent their sons subtle messages that this behavior wasn't okay. This conflict would arise in the mom's heart about whether they were jeopardizing their son's masculinity by keeping them too close. Dr. Reichert explained to me that moms would stiffen up around their boys, sending them the message that they should essentially man up. Of course, dads send boys tons of unhealthy messages about masculinity too, likely far more than moms do. But the experts I spoke to, who have spent their careers highlighting the dangers of gender stereotypes and trying to understand how to counteract them, admitted to me that they have been unable to protect their kids from these pressures. Dr. Wei told me that both of her adult children are very gender stereotypical. When I told Dr. Reichert about my son and the fact that he doesn't feel he can confide in any of his friends, he said he's just trying to be included in the world of boys, not be marginalized. Kudos to him. It's tragic that it comes with a cost, a sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, it's a very popular phrase, right? Conform or die. I don't know if it's popular, but conform or die, adapt or die, and I think that's the reality, right? Like, society is what it is. And imagine yourself being an 8-year-old boy, a 9-year-old boy, a 12-year-old boy, like, and how mean kids can be. And on some level, this is a problematic take, but I think light bullying is good, right? It toughens you up for the real world a little bit. It prepares you that not everybody is going to share your opinions. It helps you adapt when people have negative thoughts about you. Of course, it can get to a level that is, of course, not okay when it comes to like physical abuse and if everybody in the school is bullying one person. But like a little light bullying that kids do, I think is beneficial for development. But when it's teetering on that too much, because, you know, maybe, I'm not one to conform, but when I was getting bullied for the skinny jeans, it was hurtful. And a weaker man might have started wearing bootcut jeans, but not I. And eventually it all went away because people grew up and they realized that kind of stuff is stupid, but it lasted for several years from my peers and then from people who are older than me. And people think it's like, there's this kind of terminology for skinny privilege too, but not when you're a boy. I got relentlessly bullied for how thin I was, even from some of my friends who maybe didn't mean a lot by it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't hurtful in some way. It doesn't feel good to be called pencil legs, right? And now, of course, I have the most girthy, bestest legs of all my friends, so now I'm going to, of course, rubber band and call all of them pencil legs, but I guess you kind of get what I mean. Society is the way that it is, and because it's so largely impactful amongst children, regardless of parents' best efforts, children will adapt to the other children, and they will conform because society is not in a place to actually change anything, I think, when it comes to, like, what it means to be a man. Alright, so from here, we're going to grab another back exercise, and I'll see you there. I don't know what I was looking at with the weights just now. I was like, my brain's all over the place. So next we're going to do something I don't actually usually do, which is going to be a barbell row. This angle's not great for like talking and everything, so I'll probably just have to. We'll see. I'll figure out something. Well, let's get that first set in. I think I'm gonna add a little weight. It's like a 25 on each side. So, continuing on, as we as a society become part of the solution. So, Dr. Reichardt says, even if a boy knows intellectually that intimate friendships are okay, he may still avoid them. You can give them all kinds of messages, and they might do it with you, he said. But with friends, it's likely that they won't do it unless they know that other boys are okay with it. But there's a few ways we can help. Boys who have at least one parent who emotionally engages with them and offers them opportunities to develop and connect are more likely to maintain intimate male friendships throughout adolescence. Those parents specifically are moms. We can also normalize it by modeling it, she said. We should talk about our own friendships and deep connections with others and be emotionally vulnerable with our children. We should ask questions of our kids, real questions that show our interest in understanding them and getting to know them deeply. When our sons make an attempt to connect with us or others or say things that are emotionally astute, we should praise them and show them that we value this behavior. Parents should also have explicit how-to conversations with boys on practical topics, such as how to make friends, how to make plans with friends, and how to let friends know you care about them. As parents, we, myself included, often assume that our kids have skills and knowledge we've never actually taught them. Considering that so many kids lost social opportunities during the pandemic, we should take extra steps to ensure they have essential relationship-building skills. I don't know how much of my chat is parents. I know some of them are. But it's easy to, I guess, do I don't want to say bare minimum at all, because I don't want to assume that any of my viewers are doing the bare minimum. But I think it's very valid to say that you think that, they have skills and they have abilities that you've never taught them. Because you just assume, right? I've been presumptuous of, not my children, but at times with my employees, I presume that they have skills and they know things about their job that, again, I have never explicitly taught them because I just assumed. And if I can do it with my employees, I'm sure that you guys can probably do it with your children. I guess that's a good point if you also manage people. Never assume, right? And you have to ask questions and you have to strive to understand to actually understand. But I think that kind of drives home the point. I'm going to get off of that article now. And I think this whole male loneliness epidemic does, in fact, start when we are boys, when we are kids, when we are developing, when we see these things from our friends, when we're modeling behavior we see from teachers, and even when our parents might say the opposite. I know that most of the boys of my generation, our parents did not say the opposite, but maybe now, as my generation is becoming parents, that is where this is kind of starting to happen. And this might just be this male loneliness thing is maybe more of a symptom of the previous generation not, everything kind of accelerating towards the problem, right? And we've kind of hit critical mass of bad parenting, and I think that now we're more aware of maybe how our society is saying boys need to ask. Now that we're more aware of it, we're becoming parents, we can help our boys be better. But as with everything, before there's change, you have to reach that pinnacle of bad, and I think that might be where we're at right now. Let's get a set, though. There's also this problem that I'm going to get into, especially in the dating world, in the interpersonal relationship world, that obviously you want things to be different, but things aren't going to be different overnight. I can't just go and act against all societal norms and expect to be successful, especially in the realm of dating girls. Even if I want to be emotionally vulnerable, even if I want to talk about my feelings, and I want the world to be different, If I act that way, I am likely, unless I'm incredibly lucky, never going to find a partner. Because that is not what society is receptive to at the moment. So that's where the next talk about how to successfully navigate and come out of the hole that is, I suppose, the male loneliness epidemic. But let's get this set. That's heavy. I'm really gonna have to check my form after these ones. But I'm gonna do one more for the gram, and I will see you at our next bicep exercise. Also, don't look at my butt. I know you guys were looking at my butt. Don't do that. Alright, I had to do 2 sets to get my little Instagram reel bit because I just didn't like how the first one came. So we only realistically are gonna do 2 sets here. Alright though, my lonely boys, my good wholesome boys who are looking for companionship. I'm not talking about friendships. I'm not coaching anyone through friendship today. I think we've talked about friendship, getting friends, which means you've got to get hobbies and you've got to talk to people. If you're doing things you like and you're a happy person, eventually in group activities you will find friends. Right? Boom. Taken care of. Talked about it in an old video. Get your butt back to an older video if you want to hear about older topics. But today, right now, before your very eyes, I'm going to tell you how to find the hot goth GF of your dreams, or just a regular GF, I suppose, as well. We're not gonna disparage any other hot GFs here. I just had to say the meme because my brain functions on memes. All right, first of all, I'm going to need you to do something very important. You're going to need to download a dating app. If you haven't downloaded a dating app, you're already behind the 8 ball. I'm going to be honest. Most people, even people you'll meet in the real world, are probably using a dating app, right? Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, take your pick. Don't recommend Bumble, probably. You know why? Here's why. Ladies want to be courted, largely. Making the first move is a masculine thing. So Bumble wants women to make the first move, but they instinctually don't want to do that. So you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. More largely than girls having to make the first move, it's an issue of you only have 24 hours to say hi. Sometimes I match with people on a dating app, and I don't even know they exist for a week. So only having 24 hours to check and send a message or whatever is just not a good strategy to meet someone. So I recommend Tinder, I recommend Hinge, I recommend Christian Mingle and Farmers Only. And not just for the memes, because, you know, I like to imagine, even though I've never been on Christian Mingle or Farmers Only, that really wholesome people go there. Honestly, I'm not terribly religious myself, but sometimes I imagine what a perfect woman is like for my life. And she's just a good Christian girl with a good family, who goes to church every Sunday. And yeah, I might not be religious, but it seems so wholesome. You know, white picket fence, house with a little bit of land. Maybe we have a cow just for fun. But if we're being realistic, get yourself Hinge, get yourself Tinder. Next is very important. This is very, very important. I need you to pick 3 to 4 photos. I think too much is too much and too little is too little. And I think 3 to 4 is the sweet spot. You don't want to give too much of your life away to where, like, there's nothing to be curious about. So you just need like a little taste, a little sprinkle of seasoning, just how I eat my chicken, because, well, seasonings have macros and I'm watching my macros. So we want your profile to be a lightly seasoned piece of sirloin steak, right? We don't want a ribeye that's too marbled, too much, just for like a first time wham bam interaction. We don't want something like a filet because that's too meaty, probably. it's too supple, right? We want something that's tasteful. We want something that gets the message across and makes them want to come back for more. Because you know when you take a bite of like something you like, maybe you don't like really like, and you don't like absolutely hate. It's like that middle ground food for me. Like probably average plus even is a sirloin, right? So we want, because when you take a bite of something average plus, it's like, that was pretty good. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Let me take another bite, right? We don't want to come off too strong, right, with the ribeye, because what am I talking about right now? We don't want to come off too strong with the ribeye, because then they take a bite and they immediately know if they like it or not. But with the sirloin, they're like, maybe I need another bite. Maybe I need to try another little taste, give another little message, continue trying this out. And that's the goal, right? We want them coming back for more. We want them to say, hey, this guy is maybe cool, maybe he's funny, I don't know. There's something about him that makes me curious. So that's what we want to do. Let's get a set in as we're picking our photos. This is a PSA. I just saw something in the gym. I'm not outing anybody. Bros, there's almost no reason. There's one reason, and I'm not even going to give it to you. There's no reason to take your shoes off at the gym. Keep those dogs contained. Nobody wants to see you leave sweaty sock foot marks all over every place you walk. I know you saw your favorite gym influencer. Oh man, this guy to my right has all of the dogs out. He's wearing sandals to the gym. Someone come get your man. That's my pet peeve. I hate feet. I hate feet. Feet do not belong out in public. I will die on this hill. So that's actually my third set. I'm tired of curling, honestly. My biceps are low-key a little bit torqued. So we're gonna pack this guy up and go do a back exercise. So I will see you at the next one. Alright, I got ambushed 2 separate times on the last exercise and it was just impossible to record anything. So it is what it is. So instead we're going to do a high bar row. We'll keep yapping because this is our last exercise, unfortunately. Sorry guys, you can blame all my gym friends that I've been making recently. Let's get our first set. That is quite heavy. Alright, so we've got our very strange photos picked out and kind of to curate them. I want a good headshot, right? Something that shows your face very clearly, unfiltered. Nobody wants to look at a man with a filtered face. Usually, probably. You don't want to have all your photos be of like you and the boys, right? You want to have some photos of you maybe doing a hobby, maybe one with a friend or two, show that you have some social skills. Well, I mean that's 3, but look, I wouldn't have any photos with you with a girl. That never goes over well. I don't think, probably, usually. I think you want to have a photo with you and a friend, you and some friends. You want to have a good headshot of yourself, and you want to have a photo of you doing a hobby or something that you really enjoy. Action photos can be cool, but gives just like a little snippet of your life. Then, guess what? Bios are important, because if, hypothetically, the girl that you are into thinks you're cute, she will look at your bio, unless you're like a 10, in which case your bio doesn't matter. So you're either so attractive that your bio doesn't matter, not most of us, or you need a bio. The amount of men that I see with a bio that says something mean, incredible. Don't do that. What are you doing? You're literally poisoning the web. If you're a mean person, let them find that out on date 5, all right? Don't just post it for the world to see. That's a joke. Just don't be mean. But like, if you've got bad qualities, why are you like just waving them like a flag for the world to see? It goes for you ladies too. Like every time I see a profile that has something like negative, like and hateful and just rude and mean, I'm not sitting there looking at it like, oh my god, I can't wait to match with her and have a really difficult and problematic relationship. No, I swipe left. So does probably most other men, and so does most women when they see your really problematic bio. In fact, they screenshot it and they send it to their friends, and they all have a laugh, and then guess what? You've not only ruined your chances with one girl, you've ruined your chances with a dozen. So, something nice, something witty, something about yourself. Your bio is supposed to be about you, not about what you're looking for in a woman. So keep it about you. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Tell a joke. Be funny. But don't be like doom and gloom. Nobody also wants to be with someone who wants to like end it all tomorrow. So just be aware of the things that you're putting on the internet. All right, cool. So we have our photos and we have our bio. Now we're going to start swiping. And guess what?'re only going to swipe on girls that we think are attractive. We're only going to swipe on girls that we would want to have a relationship with. If you're mad about your prospects, because I've talked about it in a previous video, there is Tinder ELO, there is Hinge ELO. If you are swiping and matching with people that you are not interested in, the algorithm will think that you are of lower ELO, and then you'll be like, why are all these people that I don't like? Well, that's because you liked them, because you were horny and you were only thinking with an appendage between your legs, bro. So, good quality matches. Only like people that you feel that you would be compatible with. Don't get discouraged when you don't match with everyone you swipe with. That is a privilege only ladies have, okay? For us boys, we gotta work a little bit harder. Okay, next problem. You're not getting any matches. Well, let's take a look at our photos. So you picked the best ones that you had. Let's critically evaluate them. Are they actually good photos? Are you not matching with the caliber of woman that you think you want? Well, then that's where we have to be introspective and say, hey, maybe I'm not on the level I think I am. How can I improve myself to get to the level I want to be at? Go to the gym, read a book, get a degree, learn to pilot a plane. Do these things that have merit and value that you will then feel more valuable yourself. You will exude that. You will have experiences now that you can talk about. And as you build yourself up, people can see that, right? It looks a lot better when you can say, I have a PhD in being the baddest motherfucker on the planet. When you put that in your bio, you know what I mean? I don't actually mean like, you know, those cringy ones like I have a PhD in being a cool boy. I mean, you actually have a PhD, right? When you put that on your profile. When someone asks you what you do for work, instead of saying, I clerk at a gas station, you can say, I'm in nursing school, right? These things come off better. Also, it's the way that you talk, right? Okay, hypothetically, you've worked on yourself, you've got a good profile, you've got good pictures, and guess what? You've matched with a lady. First of all, congratulations. 80% of the work is now done. If she has liked you, chances are, unless she's just looking for attention, and you can tell that pretty easily. I hope that we're all socially aware enough to identify when someone is just fishing for attention. All you have to do now is not fuck it up. Now, I know that's going to trip up a lot of people. A lot of people are going to hear that portion of it, and they're going to be like, well, that's funny that you say that, Chris, because I mess it up every single time, and I know you do. I know you do, bro, because you info dump, and you're insecure, and you tell people about the bad things about yourself, and you just can't help yourself from yapping about all the things that nobody wants to hear when they're first meeting someone 5 minutes after they match. Let's get a second. I'm getting on you today. Because I think a lot of men's problems, or some amount of men's problems, are indeed created by men. First of all, you've matched. Do not, and I repeat, do not say hey. Do not say, hey, what are you doing? Do not say, hey, what's up? Do not say anything that is boring. I know that's tough, right? Like, most of you guys might be really, really boring. Or maybe you're just really negative and you don't want to give anybody attention or time or effort that you're not, sure is going to be reciprocated. And that's fine. But if you go fishing with no bait on your hook and no lure, you are going to catch no fish, right? I know that it sucks to, bait your hook and cast it out and you reel it in and a fish has stolen your bait and you didn't even get a bite, you didn't even get to fight it. I understand that really does suck. But you have to give yourself the best opportunity at every opportunity. And the only way to do that is to think about her bio, think about her photos, use something, at least to you, that's a little bit innovative, a little bit quirky, fun, something that they can respond to, that they'll see, they'll say, hey, that's interesting, I want to respond to that. Because, number one, half the clowns that message the girl of your dreams are very boring. The other half are putting in a little bit of effort. The other half are putting in way too much effort, and they send a role play paragraph. You and I are sitting on a beach as the sun is setting. I look over to you and I see the gleam in your eyes. It reminds me of the first day we met underneath the stars in Madison Square Garden on a bench in the park when a cop rolled up on us and asked, what are we... Like, it's too much, right? So you have to find that middle ground that's, like, interesting and not creepy. I like to think that most of you know how to talk to people. And wow, surprise, women are people. So just talk to them like they're people. A person that you're genuinely interested in getting to know. Like if you have a dog and they have a dog, you can message them and say, oh my God, your dog is so cute. It looks like your dog and my dog might be best friends in the future. I don't know. Like, be creative. Is that the most creative thing ever? No. But you talked about something in her photo that you noticed that maybe wasn't about her. Because every girl hears how beautiful and sexy and amazing she is every single day. That's not new, and that's not exciting. And yes, maybe some amount of people also compliment her dog and make cute little dog jokes. But I don't really have anything to go off of here, but the more inventive your come on is, the more likely you're going to get a response. This is also proportional to attractiveness. Unfortunately, I'm just a really attractive guy, so I don't really have to say things. I'm being a little bit cocky here. But I know I'm decent looking, and I know I've worked on myself a lot, and I have some amount of value in the dating market, and I know that I can get away with probably less than some other men. Different attractiveness levels requires different amounts of effort when it comes to talking to people, and I totally get that. I might not have to put as much effort. I might not have curated as much of a personality as another man. I'm working with what I got. I'm doing my best. But what I am really good at is not effing it up, right? Why did I bleep effing when I've literally just straight up said the word previously? In the effort of not fucking it up, number one, don't be rude. Number one, don't be boring, right? If she asks you a question, reciprocate with a question. I also don't want you to drag the conversation by the hair, right? If she's not contributing to the conversation, she's probably not interested. Also, this is something that's really helped me, or this is a tenet I live by. Do not double text. Send your, you can double text and you send a sentence and you send another sentence, but don't send a sentence and 2 hours later send another sentence when she hasn't responded. You put your hook in the water, and if it never bites, it never bites. Period. Will you miss out on a girl or two out of 100? Sure. Who might have been busy and responded to that double text. But if she is interested, if she's really, really interested, she will find the time and she will remember to reply. All right, Kings? Don't info dump negative things about yourself. Don't talk about your mental issues. Don't talk about your trauma. Don't talk about your ex-girlfriend. Talk about how happy and awesome your life is, all the things that you love to do, the things that you look forward to, how they interact with her life. Compliment her on the things that she does. Say they're cool and interesting, even if you don't believe it. That's manipulative. But, I mean, we're all a little bit manipulative when we first start dating. I don't expect girls to be into my writing all the time. But you know what? they tell me they are, right? They engage with me about it. It's something to talk about, and that's like the biggest portion, getting the conversation going, being open to the communication. Let's get a sip. This video is like almost two different topics, but it's like male loneliness and then where I think male loneliness is coming from as adult men, and it's the companionship of mostly women, I would say. Unfortunately, I can't give any dating advice for men. I've never dated a man, and so I'm not just terribly qualified to talk about it. But exchange a few quirky little messages, ask about the things she likes, be interested in them. Don't say negative things about yourself, just resist the urge, right? Don't dunk on yourself, right? That's also just hella negative. We don't dunk on ourselves. And lastly, ask for her contact information sooner rather than later. Ask for it ideally the same day you match. And don't ask for her number, don't ask for her snap, don't ask for her Instagram. Hey, can I get your contact info so I can stop opening Hinge? And it's like, oh, he wants to get off the dating apps. Oh, he just wants to talk to me. He wants to talk to me on a more personal level. It sends a bunch of very positive messages that people are very receptive to. And then once, my go-to is always like when I match with someone, I'm always like, hey, it's your future husband. You know, when I hit them up on their phone number or their Instagram or their Snap or like whatever it is. And then following that, keep that positive vibe, stay inquisitive, but don't talk too much, right? Is it manipulative? Yes. Do not respond every time you see a message from her though. Have some restraint, right? If you don't have a life, pretend you do. Take a little bit of time between messages. I don't mean 6 hours, but like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes it's okay to like message really quick back to back to back to back. But if you're like immediately responding every time she texts, that's a bad sign, right? For whatever reason, and like I said, we're not changing society tomorrow, so I'm helping you just adapt to what we have. Ask her on a date sooner rather than later. What do you like to do for fun? What do you love to eat? Do you love coffee? Like, literally just asking and making the plans, hey, when are you free this week? If you wait for her to make the first move, she might never make it, unless she's really, really into you. If you become a pen pal for weeks, she's going to lose interest. You have to, the whole saying where you have to strike when the iron is hot. The iron is hottest right when you meet, right? Right when you match, right when you get her number, right when you're messaging her within the first day. You have to keep the interest and you have to build upon it. The other portion of not responding instantly is if you talk too much before ever meeting, it feels like you don't even need to meet to get to know the other person, and they might get a false representation of your actual character. Because I think I come over much better in person than I do over text and calls. I actually had a girl that I met the other day who said, I think I have pretty okay pictures on the internet. But she said, you're way more attractive in person. And I was like, well, I'm not taking that as a negative. Who doesn't want to hear that? But it's something to keep in mind. So that's my little spiel of advice, and perhaps we have more. Maybe I'm going to become a dating coach on some level for all of you guys. From the single man, right? The dating coach from the guy who's single. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go take one more little video, and I'll see you guys in the car. All right, and that is going to do it for today's episode of Gym Therapy. There are some serious, I think, unaddressed issues with men and men's health, and I think societally it's not popular to talk about. Kind of how we cited very early on in the video where, on some level, why do we care about men when men, were perceived to be the issue with society for such a long time? And I think the missing factor here is, one, caring about men and lifting them up and listening to their problems and helping them get better helps society. But two, I think it's important to note that your little boy, your boyfriend, the important men in your life probably were not part of the society that oppressed and repressed people. Having a little empathy, having a little love, and I know I talk about that a lot in this series, turning the other cheek, caring about your fellow man, understand their problems, then have your problems understood, is just so important to being better in the world. Does that mean there are no bad men? Of course not. There are a lot of bad men. But I think, as we've kind of talked about a bunch of times also, there's bad people in every demographic. Nobody has a monopoly on being bad, right? I like to think that I'm a mostly good person, and my casual interactions with people, I would love if they were full of empathy and understanding and just the benefit of the doubt. As I think if we give everybody the benefit of the doubt, we have a better society. I don't think listening to one demographic's problems invalidates the problems of other people. I think collectively, as a society, we should listen to everybody's problems. Then we kind of got a little bit silly funny with the dating thing, but like honestly, I was kind of joking when I was talking about it, but at the same time, I think that's all genuinely good advice. Is it sad that we can't be our complete, genuine selves when looking for a partner? A little bit. But do we need to be realistic about how everybody puts their best foot forward and they only should, and how we should only strive to put that at the forefront of, the descriptor of our life? I don't think it's manipulative to put your best foot forward. I don't think it's really that manipulative to show your best side, because that is what we're all striving to be all of the time. I think where a lot of people mess up, men and women, and I'm just kind of addressing men because I see a lot of men dating profiles that just blow me out of the water. I see a lot of messages from men that blow me out of the water. And it's like, no wonder you're single. Look at this. This is completely crazy and would never work on anyone. But they do it anyway. And I don't know if it's like a lack of thought, a lack of care, or what it is, but if we're going to be really realistic about addressing the problem and find you guys a date, then you have to address the fact that your pictures kind of suck, your life that you're presenting kind of sucks, and the way that you're coming on to people also kind of sucks. If there's a certain kind of girl you want to attract, you have to be the kind of man that she is attracted to. That is like the complete whole picture, and that's not exclusive to men. Women too. If you want a certain type of man to like you, well, then you have to present the kind of woman that he would be into. I think it's very strange to think that the cheerleader of the football team is going to want the shut-in introvert who never leaves his room because he's always playing Street Fighter. That's not typically how that thing goes, right? Active people like active people, introverts like introverts, and are there outliers, of course, and that's maybe not the best allegory, but I think it is largely representative. You got to work on yourself. Full stop. You have to be more interesting. Full stop. You can't be disrespectful. Nobody wants to be with a negative Nancy. Nobody, I'm never going to swipe right on a person, and I don't think most people would either, when all that person is saying is negative things and what they want from their partner. You're supposed to be selling yourself right now. I need you to sell yourself. And then you just have to be genuinely interested in the other person. If all you view women as is a hole to fill, sorry if that's a little bit derogatory, then they will pick that up. They will understand that. I'm not saying be manipulative to get what you want. I'm saying be better, right? Be interested in her as a person, because she is a person. If you're looking at people as objects, you are the reason you are lonely. If you're simply a little bit misguided, and maybe you come off the wrong way, and maybe you have a little bit too much nice guy, I don't mean like Reddit nice guy, I mean like you're just too nice. Society is the way it is, and you have to lean into it a little bit, because I am so nice, and I am so giving and so caring, and I'm the kind of boy who loves love, as cringy as that is. But I can't present that way when I'm meeting girls, because girls aren't really attracted to that. That's just the way that it is. And then once you have a connection, then you can open up, and then you can be a little bit more yourself, because they're invested in you, and then they think those things are cute. But when you're first meeting, most girls aren't into that. Is it a little bit manipulative? I don't know. I'm just living in society, like we all are. So I think I've yapped enough for this outro. I hope all of you had a great workout with me, had a great Monday morning. Today is Tuesday. A great Monday afternoon, great Monday evening. I'm posting this tomorrow. Until I see you later on this week for another episode of Gym Therapy, thank you for stopping by. Hugs and kisses. Tucks you into bed. That is my new thing I'm saying every time because you guys need it. And until I see you again, I only wish the best for you.